You said Jason. You're good to go, sir.
Excellent. All right. Today is Wednesday, June 21st. It is 9:02 a.m. We are here today for the Economic Revitalization Committee meeting. We have 4 items on the agenda today. Present from City Council are myself, Adam Yoder, and Vince Polizzi. We've got from the administration, Skip Mimi, and Sam Ungst, and of course Janice Frank and Chris Black as well. And we also have Jason Fink here. He's going to help us out with the first 2 items on the agenda along with Mr. Yoder. So we're going to get right into it. Now, item number 1 is the ordinance for commercial LERTA. Mr. Yoder.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Biter. So if you don't mind, maybe we chat about both of these kind of together because they're kind of related.
Absolutely.
The first 2.
Yep.
So these are new or modified LERTAs for the city of Williamsport. So we've used LERTA for a number of decades to help to spur development, and we're looking to do the same thing here. So I'd say probably a couple months ago, Jason Fink from the chamber reached out expressing an interest to get these restarted again. Our previous one just expired, I believe. And that followed some, I think, initiation from the mayor's office on this effort as well. So over the past number of weeks, through some discussions between council members and the chamber, we've kind of come up with a kind of a, I don't want to say a middle ground, but a agreeable LERTA for both residential and commercial, and that's what's in front of you. So the commercial LERTA is focused on the commercial and industrial districts, with the exclusion of the Penn College Maynard Street corridor. Okay. That LERTA is a 7-year sliding scale abatement. The first couple of years are 100%, 3 and 4 are 75, 5 and 6 are 50, year 7 is 25%. Really, aside from the Penn College area, really mirrors the zoning map. So the Central Business District, the CC Commercial District, CS Commercial District, institutional, and the industrial districts are included in that. And then the residential LERTA is a 10-year, 100% abatement, and then that focuses on the residential zone. So R1A, 1B, 2, 3, and RU. I think the idea specifically with the residential is to really try to do a couple of things. One, try if we can use this to hopefully, I think, try to spur some movement into the city, and try to incentivize some updating of some of our housing stock in the city. And then the number 2 for existing homeowners, maybe this is something that can help provide a little bit of relief or incentive to help them to further increase any kind of work they've been doing or property value specifically. And then on the commercial side, we certainly are looking to use this to, I think, help our efforts to continue to drive new development in the city, but also to help attract new businesses into the city specifically. We've seen, I think, over a number of years, multiple businesses. You look at like the industrial park on Reach Road. Number of those organizations have taken advantage of this. A number of developers have taken advantage of this in the past. I think we're looking to ideally do some of the same things from that perspective. And then the last thing I'll add, and then I'll let Jason from the chamber chime in here with any additional comments or thoughts before we get into any kind of discussion. I think the other thing to note here with both of these, if you look at, I think, trying to tackle some of the blighted properties or underutilized properties in the city specifically, I think this is a really good incentive that we can pair with both the redevelopment authority and the land bank authority, to hopefully use them in conjunction to really get some of these dilapidated, underutilized properties back in useful fashion, right? I think these are two tools that can work together to really push forward those efforts that we've openly discussed, that we've openly have said that we want to really see going. And so I think with the administration being agreeable to these maps, their previous championing of specifically that land bank, I think this puts them in a position to really make some headway in that regard. I'm hoping to see that at least. I think other council members will be as well. So a little bit of background on this. Jason, by all means, chime in if there's anything that I missed, any additional perspective you'd like to provide. And then I'll turn it back over to our members of ERC.
Yeah, no, the chamber was asked to step in by the administration to assist in facilitating this on behalf of the city to reactivate the LRTA that had expired 12/31 of 22. It's a program that had been used by commercial industrial as a way to get some industry and expansions that we've seen take place. The most recent was West Pharmaceuticals that cited one of the driving factors that came into play for them picking Williamsport over two other states that they were considering their project for was the fact that LRTA was available to them as part of their expansion. The other aspect of this is you look at some of the challenges that the city has been facing with a declining population, being able to have a LRTA that would incentivize new home construction, as well as expansion of existing residential properties, would hopefully see something take place there. The administration has put together a list of properties that are vacant properties where residential development could take place, and was pleased to be able to see that it's spread throughout the city from the west end, the central part of the community, as well as the east end. So from that aspect of it, you would hopefully see development take place in all parts of your city. So with that, that's any questions that you would have at this point.
Mr. Pelosi, would you like to kick us off as usual?
Thank you very much, Mr. Blader. Mr. Fink, welcome. Adam, thank you very much. No, I think this is a great idea. I think, council as a whole, since, Adam, since we took office, since Eric, since you joined us, we knew that to spur economic growth within our area, those certain, LRTA would be absolutely integral in bringing business and development here. And to Mr. Fink's point, seeing that West Pharmaceuticals chose that site, what we've seen with some other manufacturing and business reinvestment here within the city and our area, it's got me very hopeful that we can start getting more people to focus on Williamsport and investment. We've got so many great things going on here in north central Pennsylvania. So I'm very happy to see this. I think it certainly is the beginning of better things yet to come. I did have one question for Mr. Fink. Mr. Fink, when we look to market the LRTA, I saw the LRTA marketing plan. Is there any additional, I want to say print work? Do we advertise in magazines and such? And if you guys saw me flipping through earlier, I just wanted to bring this up as an example. Personally, I subscribe to what's called business facilities. If you guys can see that, hopefully it's not backwards. But within that, they specifically look at targeting site seekers guides for people that are looking to invest business specifically. And I marked off the page, like here's an example of Pennsylvania. as far as kind of going over specifically what there is and everything. And then in the very back, it goes in depth, Pennsylvania specifically, and I see that it is sourced by the Lehigh Valley Economic Development, kind of going over and advertising that specific area. Mr. Fink, is that something that we're able to do? I'm sure that you guys have all probably looked into it several times. Is it seem like that's something that we could look at trying to do to, Ray Kroc once said, I'm not in the burger business, I'm in the real estate business. You could have the best product there is, but if people don't know about it, we can't get it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, if the city would choose to advertise in something like that, it's definitely an option. We have kind of turned it away from print media, to be honest with you. We've seen the subscription rates drop. Their reach is not what they used to be when we used to advertise in it years ago. Most of it's driven via social media. I'll be honest with you, I would hope the city has a LinkedIn account, because to me, that's something that you would need to have in place. They're looking to make connection. The site consultants and all of those, yeah, they get the magazines, but they've all said that they're looking at personal connections via social media as a primary factor. So one of the things that we have been doing every year now since about 2017 is partnering with the state on a site consultant familiarization tour, where we bring in site consultants, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 consultants that will be here representing various commercial and industrial development groups that they're connected to, as well as specific projects and clients that they're working in behalf of. And it's been actually very successful for us from that aspect of it. Partnering with the state adds more credibility to us as a community when we're hosting these events. And it's actually been good to be able to partner with them to showcase to them investments that the state has already made in projects like Humming Engines, West Pharmaceuticals, Bald Bird's Brewery over in Jersey Shore, to be able to show the variety of investments that the Commonwealth has been making, in addition to the local activities that those communities have undertaken to incentivize development, like the LRTA that's in place. So,
okay, and I'm happy to hear that, and I'm guessing that the feedback we've received is that when we do bring in these site consultants, we've gotten feedback in the past that businesses aren't too heavily interested in coming here. I mean, there's some interest, but we can never quite get them to pull the trigger. Does that go hand in hand with our lack of viable housing stock here, which potentially that plays right into Mr. Yoder's point previously, that we could all work together?
Well, in terms of the industrial development aspect of it, you have lack of land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Reach Road Industrial Park, you've got a full industrial park. Wahoo, very similar, full industrial park there. In terms of your industrial development, I hate to say it, you have to hope that somebody closes to be able to get a new industry in there, because it unfortunately, you don't have. You're a mature city. You're not a township where you have vacant land, similar to some of the other municipalities that you see around you.
Okay, so it's you think that's probably the biggest impacting factor on trying to get fresh new business here, is lack of developable land?
Well, I mean, if you look in the city, I mean, if you look at your zoning map and you look at what is available for industrial development that isn't already owned by an existing manufacturer. I mean, for example, you have roughly 10 acres at the end of Reach Road that is owned by Overhead Door. Overhead Door is not going to subdivide that 10 acres and sell it off, because they want to keep it for future needs if they have to expand. We've already engaged those types of companies in conversations to see if they would be open to subdividing and selling. And they've been very upfront in the fact that, hey, we appreciate your outreach, but that this is for our business interests in the future. So.
Okay. So with, I guess with that being said, we look to implement the LRTA. How do we get those businesses? I mean, if we have to overcome these hurdles, lack of developable land, potentially lack of viable housing stock, Mr. Fink, what are we going to do to drive this home and get business here?
Well, you have commercial land that's still available for development. I mean, you look at the east end of your city, for example. You've got all of that land there that's sitting there. Mealy owns some of it. You've got the Pine Ridge development sitting there as well. You've got pockets of commercial development that could easily take place and be incentivized to take advantage of this. I think the bigger challenge, though, is on the industrial side, is where you don't have available industrial land. What you have to focus on for those is making them aware, making their plant managers and their corporate aware of the fact that you have land. This is available. If you are looking at any future expansions, understand that the city of Williamsport already has a LRTA in place. So if you expand there, you have that opportunity to take advantage of some tax abatement to incentivize your development to take place there. But to me, from the city side of it, the bigger reward from this type of program is going to be your commercial and residential. There is land still available that is owned for residential development that will hopefully be spurred upon to be able to develop it. And especially with it being an aggressive LRTA that you've got in place, that should hopefully catch people's attention.
Okay. No, that's all. Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear exactly kind of what we're looking at trying to capture. So thank you. Mr. Biter, I have no more questions right now.
All right. I do not have any. I believe we covered them all in those first two items. So what I want to do, though, is talk about item number 3 that's on the agenda, because I believe item number 3 and items number 1 and 2 go hand in hand as we start to look at them. Let me just make sure I pull that up correctly. So item number 3 that we have on the agenda this morning is a resolution to approve the participation of the city of Williamsport in Arcturus Impact Investment Program. I'm going to give a little bit of background on that before we get into too much of it. Let me just get to the correct piece here. So Arcturus Impact Investors LLC is a Boston-based impact investment firm with experience in both debt and opportunity zone equity investments. The firm manages funds that invest in growth-oriented operating businesses and community infrastructure projects in underserved communities. So a few years ago, the federal government instituted federal opportunity zones throughout the country. There's hundreds of them. Lycoming County has 3. All 3 are located in the city of Williamsport limits. There has been no meaningful investment that I'm aware of in any of those opportunity zones. Mr. Fink, I'd love for you to correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Actually, I can.
Please.
You had actually FamVest picked up property on Washington Boulevard, and they put together their own fund to spur the acquisition of where the animal avian, where that business moved there on the boulevard. I forget what their name of it is right now.
The Golden Strip. I got what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, they moved from the Golden Strip down to Washington Boulevard not too long ago.
Yep.
They actually put their own fund together because that's within the confines of it.
Okay. So, I didn't realize that was right there. So that's excellent then, that's part of it. And that was a very recent one then.
That was actually very recent.
Okay, good. So this is in the same vein as that. What we're doing today is we're agreeing to consider this more. We are not agreeing where any monies are going to be coming from with this. It is a $1,250,000 investment on the part of the city. We've also been in talks with the Chamber of Commerce, the First Community Foundation Partnership, as well as Lycoming County. to also invest that same amount of money. That would bring our total local investment to $5 million, which would then be leveraged with a $20 million investment from Arcturus. Mr. Plizzi and Mr. Yoder, you both have had an opportunity to sit down with Arcturus, talk to them a little bit. Mr. Fink, I believe you have as well. If you'd like to add anything to that, please go right ahead.
I'll yield to Mr. Yoder or Mr. Fink first if you would like to add anything.
Sure, I'll kick that off. And Jason, if you've got to go and you want to chime in, by all means interrupt me. So Mr. Biter, you gave a really good overview of what this is. They've actually, so this group specifically, Arcturus, has they're an impact investment group. So they focus on these kinds of areas. Their strategy is taking advantage of these Keystone Opportunity Zones. They are private funds. All right, they are private money. They're a compilation of private investors. And in comparison to the traditional private equity world, they are, full transparency to the public, they are looking to make a return on their capital, but they are not looking for the level of returns that they would get in the private equity world. They're kind of marrying the desire to make a profit, but doing so at a lesser scale so that they can make an impact in communities that need the investment but may not yield the returns that other regions may yield. So this group, for example, has done some work recently in the city of Erie. They've done a lot of work in a wide variety of different types of investments, anything from real estate development. They've made direct investments in private businesses, specifically minority and women-owned businesses. And I think what's really appealing, at least from my individual point of view, is this is new capital coming into the city. But I think there's a lot that we can learn from what they're doing and what they're bringing to the table. There's a lot of, I think, outside resources that are, I think, specifically our business community can ideally take advantage of to enhance what we already have here, whether it's the Small Business Development Center, our Chamber of Commerce, our like Covation Center, like those types of entities. And so this is a really, I think, unique opportunity for us to really take advantage of that. Something that's noted, I think, in the resolution specifically, that Mr. Biter started to allude to, there's a couple of dynamics here that we are trying to kind of work through. So to be a part of this round of funding, we've got to make a commitment to wanting to be a part of that by the end of the month. Hence why the resolution is there. We are still working through where we're going to pull the funding from. There's a couple of options that we probably have in front of us that we need to work through, whether it's general fund, Act 13, maybe even reserve funding that we have. There's a handful of buckets that I think we just need to work through and verify we can actually use it for this. And if so, how do we balance all of it together to get to the 1.25 million? That's certainly one thing. And this, the other thing that's written in the resolution, and this should be no surprise to the other three entities that are also planning to participate locally. Our participation is also contingent on their participation in this as well. And I do believe that the other entities, the county, First Community, the chamber, Jason, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong here. They're thinking a similar approach as well. So I think we all want to be in this together. And I think that that as long as all of us are in on this, I think that we're all going to proceed with this and go through with this. Again, that's the feedback I've gotten from I think the county and First Community, and I don't want to speak for the chamber by any means, but that's kind of the approach to the resolution and the couple of the key sticking points, I think, with the the commitment we're getting. This works though for Arcturus. We decide we want to pass this on Thursday. We send this over and we're locked in as long as those other triggers happen. I do believe I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I do believe that First Community formally is on board. And I believe the county, I don't actually recall what the county's timeline is, but so I won't go there. So I think we'll be the second of the 4. So a little bit of extra context to a couple of different things that are in that resolution. All in all, I think this is a great thing. I'm excited to see it happen. That seems to be I don't want to speak for the rest of the council. That seems to be the feedback from other council members as well. Vince, you sat in on some of these sessions as well. I think all 7 of us have. By all means, chime in here.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Yoder. I think you did a great job covering it. Mr. Biter with the overview. Yeah, and again, Mr. Yoder, to your point, so the people know that, there is the potential for a return on our investment here, because this is exactly what it is. It's our reinvestment into our community and partnering with the FCFP, partnering with the county, and partnering with the chamber to be able to leverage our $5 million total investment to act as a catalyst to get the Arcturus $20 million investment, which I think is going to be great. The upfront rate of return, Mr. Yoder, as you said, it's lower than we would like to see, or maybe lower than we would normally see. But however, what we're looking at in addition to that is the ancillary impacts, the direct $25 million total reinvestment into whatever it may be, whatever Arcturus deems as a viable investment within our city. That could go an awful long way and have a lot of long-lasting positive impacts for our city by way of increased property values, which would therefore increase tax rolls, quality of life. There's just so many great things that I think that this could, on its face overall bring to our city. So, but again, to your point, there are a couple things that I think we all need to work out as far as the funding, make sure that we have the funding to be able to invest, and if so, where it's going to come out of. So,
Yep.
But I definitely agree. I think this is a good idea. And in addition, with the LERTA that we would be looking to put in, I mean, that's the whole point of LERTA is to incentivize, to bring development here, which is exactly what we need.
Yep.
Well, from the chamber side of it, we will be evaluating this or reviewing this, I should say, at our meeting next Wednesday. Our executive board will be taking the initial action. Our understanding is this is non-binding, so from that aspect of it, until further details are worked out, that's how we're presenting it. The other aspect of this is we are looking into the various dynamics in each of the areas where they've done these previously to understand how those projects were actually advanced, and looking at the way those projects have moved forward. From a chamber side of it, we're looking at commercial development primarily, just because of the fact that where your zones are is roughly most of it will be in those focused areas. We've already talked about the industrial aspect of this, and while there is development opportunities in the Reach Road area, those most likely won't be incentivized through this effort. So beyond that, it's also going into this understanding that this is actually first loss capital, as they've been very clear on that. The return is not most likely going to be there. Your money is most likely going to be a grant to this, which that's how we're viewing it, with the expectation that when they use the term first loss capital, we're most likely going to see that money not be there at the end of the term for their program. So there's a lot of still for us to be able to review and digest on our front. $1.25 million is a lot of money. for an organization of our size, and also understanding the fact that we already have a fairly significant project already committed to the city itself. So.
Understood, and thank you for that, Jason. That's helpful and insightful.
It is. Thank you very much. All right. If there's nothing else on this item, we will go ahead and move forward then to item number 4. Any related items? I see heads
Nothing here.
shaking and silence from many. So nothing wrong with that. All right, then I will make a motion for an adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for
Thank
being
you
here,
all.
Jason.
Jason,
care,
thanks for
everyone.
your support today.
Yep. Thank you.
Have a great day.